All right, we've been telling you we were going to get a wind deflector or nose cone or whatever you want to call it on the front of the van. As you can see, it's in process here. I actually was originally thinking about bringing it out and up on an angle. I was concerned, though, with that first and foremost about coming out too far, that it restricted my view when I'm in the driver's seat, which this really does not right now, certainly no more so than a normal RV. And I was concerned about the fact that we're going to be deflecting wind up, but we're also increasing how much wind is getting caught underneath, which would not be helpful. I also thought about just doing a curved thing. Again, a little bit tricky. I don't think that would affect the visibility, but a little bit tricky to get that done and make it strong and light. But at the same time, we're still pushing 50% of that 3 foot here of wind space back underneath to catch underneath. So I didn't really love either one of those. Melanie said, why don't you just do a V-nose like on the V-nose trailers? I said, geez, that's brilliant. I never thought of it. So that's what we're doing. She's been shooting some B-roll clips. I just got started before we turned on the camera to record this because I figured it'd be too difficult to explain what's going on. But we have one piece of, I was going to use 2x3s for this. I think we're going to use plywood, so I'll have to get some more plywood. But we'll have a couple of those across so that we have, and then we're running plywood across from the nose here to the side, like we used on the walls. That same stuff, actually, like 5mm plywood. So we're going to put that on there. That'll all be screwed, painted and everything to keep it weatherproof. And we'll use a sheet metal wrap across the nose here to make sure that no water gets into any joints here. It's quite strong. It's not going anywhere. Lots of screws. So I think this will work fine. And it'll deflect basically 50% of the wind will go off each side of the van rather than get anything additional getting caught under here. And it shouldn't have any kind of meaningful effect on visibility from in the driver's seat. So I'm going to have to go find some more plywood because I was going to use 2x3s. Then I decided at the last minute to switch to something lighter. Even if you wonder why 2x3s instead of something lighter, because we don't really need 2x3s up here. The problem is 2x2s are garbage, 1x2s are garbage, 1x3s are garbage. Wood in general is pretty rough these days, at least what we can find around here. And trying to get anything smaller than 2x3s is just junk. So we're not doing that. We went with this route. But I'm going to have to make a quick run to the hardware store now and pick up another piece of plywood that I can cut up to make 3 more of these braces. Then we'll put some, skin on it, get some sheet metal on it, get it all painted up, and we'll call it good. One of the challenges if you're doing projects in somewhere like Wyoming in late November, early December, we're now, I think it's like the 7th of December or something like that. We're a weekend in December. We got a couple nice days here. So it's been cold and windy and wet and snowy and icy and everything else. So as you can see, I'm having to stand on the hood of the van to do this. So I kind of had to wait for dry weather, and I wanted to wait for something that was a little bit warmer than what we've been having. So we got a nice day. I jumped on this. We've also been doing some work on my folks' place here in Wyoming, trying to get them all ready for winter as much as possible. And again, we had to take advantage of that. My youngest son joined us yesterday in replacing a window over there. We got one more we still got to get replaced. And I took a few minutes to work on this today. We have some things on order for the van. We just received a couple new lithium batteries. We're replacing the aging AGM that's in there. The other AGM that was in there, I had 2. The other one failed completely. The one that's still in there is aging and failing. So that's going out, putting a couple lithiums in. We'll be sharing that with you in an upcoming video. And we also have a new heater on order that should be in the next few days. So we'll be filming that installation and our experience with that as well coming up very soon. So I'm going to run and find some more of this. Before I do, though, it's the first week of December 2024. If you're looking for photo calendars, they're great if you want them yourself. They're great gifts for other people. They feature 13 actually of our photos from the past year-ish, and they're available now on our website. Limited supply, so head over to robertwitham.com if you want to check those out. You'll see a link right on the front page if you scroll down a little, or just hit the store link in the top menu bar. That'll take you there. I'm off to find a few more strips of plywood so I can finish up this front end of this thing, hopefully, before the weather turns on us again. Now, I am really curious to see how much, if any, difference this makes putting this thing on. My theory is that, and this is based on looking at a lot of larger vehicles and conversations and research and everything else, I think you get to a point where you're pushing enough mass going down the road, enough air mass, that it just doesn't matter how much aerodynamics you put on, you still get terrible gas mileage. So we're averaging between 10-ish, a little better than 10 miles a gallon so far without the wind deflector on here. We were down to like 9 miles a gallon on one tank, but that was the one we had the misfire going on, which still has not recurred. I have a spare coil, ignition coil in here in case that was the problem and it acts up again. I think probably something was just loose there, but that was our worst tank. We've had several at like 10. We hit 13.6 on one of them when we were mostly on flat ground and the wind was not bad. So somewhere in that range. I'm not surprised. When I towed the trailer, the best I ever got was 11 miles a gallon, but usually it's right at 9 or 10. Right at 10, sometimes 8 or 9. One time was 6 because I had a lot of wind down in Utah. So it's in line with that, which is what I expected. We're going to see if we can gain a mile or two a gallon, maybe. Fingers crossed here, right? With putting a wind deflector on and improving the aerodynamics. I don't know if it's going to make a difference or not, or if it's going to be a little bit of difference, but frankly, at 10 miles a gallon, you know, if we get 1 mile a gallon gain, that's a 10% increase in fuel efficiency and a 10% savings on gas. 2 miles a gallon, that's really exciting, but I don't know how much difference it'll make. We'll definitely share that with you after we get this done and we get a chance to run a couple tanks through it and see how it's going. So I'm off to the hardware store without further ado. We're running out of daylight because it's that time of year and we're up north and we get very short days and it gets dark, starts getting dark by like 4 o'clock. So I'm going to pick up a couple tools here so I can drive and then we'll go find some plywood. Well, it's the next day. I did not finish up last night, as you can see, but we made some good progress. As far as I mentioned, I was going to pick up some more plywood. We had used plywood strips here for backers. Ended up going with like 1x3 dimensional lumber that was a little bit easier to work with, and the price was right. It was actually cheaper and should have worked just fine. And we did use some metal strips to also kind of reinforce, provide a little extra strength there. And of course, everything's getting glued on. We do have face on this one, the skin on this one. Gonna put this on this morning. I had to go back over last night after we quit working for the day and pick that up, get that finished up, and we'll close in the top and bottom and get some paint on it because it's gonna be like 57 or 58 degrees today. And after that, it cools down a lot. So I want to get this done and sealed in before the weather turns, make it harder to work with, harder to get things done outside. And then we can, work on other stuff inside, like batteries, a heater, that sort of stuff. I want this stuff painted anyway. So we're going to get moving on this and cut another piece of plywood here. And we'll be putting some metal trim on there on the edges like we have in the other places. I have to pick that up still, so I don't know if that'll happen today or not. We at least want it closed in and painted. So we're going to dive into that and continue on day 2 and get this V-nose done on the front of the DIY custom Hightop on the van. That's it. Beautiful. Actually, not bad. So there it is, basically done. It's done for today anyhow. It's all built, it's closed in, it's caulked, it's painted, 2 coats of paint now. The only thing lacking is we're still going to put some metal trim around the edges and across the front here. It's not going to be today. That'll be another day. Hopefully it'll happen before we go to down to the desert for the winter. But it may not. But it'll get done there if not. But that's really the only thing lacking. And other than that, I think it looks a lot better. It looks more finished, more complete, and hopefully it helps a little with the gas mileage. We'll update you guys about the fuel efficiency gain or lack thereof, whatever the case may be. But we have to get a few tanks of fuel through it before we know that. And with the time of year it is being December 7th now. I think I mentioned yesterday, I thought it was the 7th, but today is the 7th. So we're a week in December. Things are cooling down. This might be our last decent 50-something day of the year. So, whenever we get a chance to get out for a few road trips, then we'll have an idea of the fuel efficiency. We'll let you know how much difference this makes, putting this V-nose on the front of the DIY custom van Hightop. Well, thanks for following along with this video. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're looking for photo calendars, great gift ideas, great for yourself as well if you just want a nice photo calendar, and it's a way to support the channel, the work we do here. So I'll link to that in the video description. Meanwhile, thanks for following along with this whole build process, including the most recent development. We'll catch you in the next video, everybody.